The Aramean Zoroaster fire Magi and the return of the man of many names. Long ago, before the great flood swept across the earth, a man ascended beyond the stars. His name was Enoch. He walked among the angels and was taken from this world, but not forever. In the depths of myth, he returned once more, but not as Enoch. This is not merely history, this is legend, an epic story of cosmic forces, ancient bloodlines, and secrets so profound they could shake the very foundations of the earth. Few have heard the full story of the Zoroastrians, the keepers of the eternal flame passed down from Zoroaster himself. During the age of Aries, the Magi, real magicians and mystics, held power. The word Magi, derived from the older word magus, meaning powerful, is the origin of the word magic. These Magi were no mere priests, they were scholars, mystics, and cosmic seers, wielding knowledge of heaven, earth, and time itself. They were the true keepers of wisdom, guardians of mysteries that reached back to the dawn of civilization. The ancient Arameans had always revered fire. Long before Zoroaster's arrival, their belief was centered around it not merely as a physical force, but as a connection to the supreme Ahura Mazda. It was a symbol of transformation, purity, and life's eternal cycles. It was through fire that they saw the world, the stars, and their ancestors, linking them to a deep spirituality that had roots stretching back into the most ancient of times, even back to Noah. Like the earliest people of Egypt, whose reverence for nature was primal and vast, the Arameans had held their connection to fire as sacred and timeless. It was into this world that Zarathustra Spitama came, a man of profound knowledge and mystery. He was not merely a prophet but a figure woven into the story of Noah's descendants, known by many names across the ages. Some whispered he was Enoch himself, returned after eons of wandering the heavens, carrying with him secrets from before the flood, truths that had been lost to the ages. Zoroaster came to the Arameans first, and through them, his story became intertwined with their ancient beliefs. It was not that he brought a new faith, but rather that he carried forward a far older understanding, a truth that had been scattered and fragmented since the days of the Ark. He was the keeper of knowledge from a time long forgotten, and his return heralded the beginning of a new era, an era in which the ancient knowledge of the past would be rediscovered, reshaped, and prepared for the challenges of the future. The Magi first appeared in the ancient annals of Assyria, in the days when the Arameans entered the empire. The inscriptions claim conflict, but beneath the surface, a greater truth is revealed. The Arameans were not enemies of Assyria, they were its ancient kin. The ancient records, though tampered with and deliberately distorted, still carry whispers of Zoroaster's true influence. It was he who brought knowledge long forgotten since the time before the flood. Zoroaster's arrival sparked the rise of the Arameans, who had always seen the divine through their fire. Witnessing his return from the heavens, they recognized him as a long-lost prophet, returned to guide them once more. His wisdom was not only spiritual, it was practical, arcane, and deeply scientific, far beyond what even the mighty Assyrians had known. The Arameans, emboldened by his teachings, ascended in power, becoming a force to be reckoned with alongside their Assyrian neighbors. For centuries, Babylon had been Assyria's greatest enemy, an ancient city-state whose roots stretched back to the dawn of civilization. Babylon, with its towering temples and the grandeur of its streets, had not just been an empire, it had been a force of cosmic manipulation, controlling the fates of kings and the destinies of nations. The Babylonian priesthood, led by the high priests of Marduk, had maintained an iron grip on the region's spiritual and political structures, using their influence to control entire empires from the shadows. But Babylon's time had come. In 1225 BCE, Assyria, led by the iron-fisted king Tukulti-Ninurta I, rallied the might of its armies, marching toward Babylon with fire and vengeance. This was not a mere battle for territory or treasure, this was the culmination of centuries of rivalry, hatred, and war. The Assyrian legions swept over the plains, crossing rivers of blood as they approached the gates of the greatest city of the ancient world. Hundreds of chariots thundered toward the city's walls, accompanied by endless ranks of warriors whose shields gleamed in the sun like a sea of iron. Assyria was not alone. Their Aramean allies, now empowered by Zoroaster's teachings, had risen to become a formidable force, and they fought alongside the Assyrians with a ferocity that matched their ancient comrades. Together, they descended on Babylon, determined to end the city's centuries-long dominance once and for all. The battle that ensued was nothing short of apocalyptic. Babylon's walls, which had stood for millennia, were besieged by the relentless assault of Assyrian siege engines. The sky itself seemed to tremble as the forces of Assyria poured forth, their battle cries echoing like thunder. Fire and chaos reigned as the city was engulfed in flames. The temple of Marduk, the spiritual heart of the Babylonian elite, became a beacon of destruction. Flames roared through the ancient halls, where high priests had long conducted their secretive rituals, and the very air became thick with the smoke of their dark practices. The fall of Babylon was not merely the defeat of an enemy, it was the collapse of an ancient order, a cosmic shift in the balance of power. The hidden elite, who had controlled Babylon through their priesthood, were scattered, their influence shattered. The treasures of the city, once symbols of their power, were stripped away, leaving only echoes of their once mighty dominion. For the first time in generations, the Babylonian priesthood's grip on the region was broken. As the Allies' armies poured through the streets, banners flying high in victory, the old world came to an end. Babylon's temples were looted, and its power was extinguished. Babylon's defeat was more than a victory for Assyria, it was the herald of a new era. And from the ashes of Babylon, new alliances would rise, reshaping the ancient world. Out of the union of the Aramean and Assyrian bloodlines, the kingdom of Saba emerged far to the south, in the deserts of Arabia. This new kingdom, forged from the ancient lineages of Noah's descendants, would rise to become a great power in its own right. Saba was the birthplace of the legendary Queen of Sheba, whose later union with King Solomon would form the second great bond between Noah's bloodlines, giving rise to Menelik I, the founder of the Ethiopian dynasty. The rise of Saba marked a new chapter in the story of the ancient world, but Zoroaster's work was not yet done. His teachings, which had already reshaped the spiritual landscape of the Arameans, continued to spread, influencing empires and cultures far and wide. Although many of the original Magi, the guardians of Zoroaster's wisdom, would later be hunted down and replaced by a more corrupt version, the true flame of his knowledge was never extinguished. The Zoroastrian faith, in its purest form, had long existed before Cyrus the Great's ascent to power. When he made Zoroastrianism the state religion of Persia around 550 BC, many believed this marked the beginning of the faith. However, this is a historical misunderstanding. Zoroastrianism's origins are far older, rooted in the ancient teachings of Zoroaster, whose wisdom had been passed down through generations of Magi, long before Cyrus' reign. The transformation of Zoroastrianism into the state religion brought with it a dilution of the original teachings. The purity of the Magi's ancient knowledge was compromised, as political forces began to mold the faith to suit the needs of the empire. The ancient Magi, once the true guardians of Zoroaster's flame, were gradually replaced by a more politically motivated priesthood. This division between the state-sanctioned Zoroastrianism and the ancient understanding of the Magi is often lost in modern interpretations of the religion. What had once been a mystical and profound spiritual understanding, deeply connected to the cosmos and the natural world, became something more rigid and institutional. The fire that once symbolized the divine connection to the universe was now used to legitimize the power of kings and empires. Over time, this corrupted form of the faith spread across Persia and beyond, becoming the dominant expression of Zoroastrianism known to history. This shift left many of the original truths hidden beneath layers of political expediency. But the fire, though diminished, never died. The ancient Magi, scattered across the lands, held fast to the original teachings of Zoroaster. They passed down the knowledge in secret, preserving the deeper mysteries that had been obscured by the rise of the Blue Persian state. While the empire thrived and Zoroastrianism gained prominence, the true legacy of Zoroaster continued to smolder beneath the surface, awaiting the day it would rise again. The Magi, in their original form, were more than just priests, they were the keepers of knowledge, the wise men who understood the deep mysteries of the universe and the secrets of creation. It was they who first visited the newborn Yeshua, guided by a star that led them to the humble stable in Bethlehem. The gifts they bore, gold, frankincense, and myrrh, were not mere offerings, they were symbols of ancient wisdom, the wealth and power of their ancient order, and the sacred oils used in burial rites, all meant to safeguard the child destined to reshape the world. Yeshua's birth, foretold by ancient prophecies and celestial signs, was seen by the Magi as the continuation of the sacred lineage stretching back to the times of Noah. His life would be a pivotal turning point in the spiritual history of humanity, a moment when the ancient mysteries once hidden by Babylon, Persia, and Rome would be revealed again to the world. The Magi knew that the boy Yeshua was the fulfillment of a cosmic prophecy. They recognized in him the potential to rekindle the ancient flame of wisdom, the same flame that Zoroaster had brought to the Arameans and that the Magi had safeguarded across the ages. Their gifts symbolized their support and protection, knowing full well that Yeshua's life would be marked by danger and opposition from those who feared the truth he would bring. After warning of Herod's intent to destroy the child, they helped secure his escape into Egypt, a land rich in ancient knowledge and spiritual power. The visit of the Magi to Yeshua, celebrated annually in Christmas stories, remains a significant, though often misunderstood, part of Christian tradition. Their journey, guided by divine signs, represents a bridge between ancient wisdom and the spiritual transformation that Yeshua's life would bring. Though many of the deeper meanings behind their gifts and their role have faded from popular understanding, their reverence for the newborn child and their recognition of his cosmic significance continue to be honored in Christian celebrations today. Although the true story of the Magi has been obscured by layers of history and misinterpretation, its significance remains one of the most profound in human history. Beneath the surface of the familiar Christmas tale lies a deeper narrative of ancient knowledge, cosmic prophecy, and spiritual awakening. The Magi's journey to honor Yeshua wasn't just a simple act of homage, it was a pivotal moment, where ancient wisdom intersected with a new era of divine revelation. Rediscovering this truth unveils a powerful story that has shaped the spiritual trajectory of civilizations for millennia.